Let's be honest, right? COD isn't what it used to be. And it hurts me to say that. I am a die-hard Call of Duty fan all the way back since like 2009, you know what I mean? I remember playing MW2 split screen with my friends and like, you know, just going to war on Rust on repeat for hours and hours and hours all weekend, every weekend, you know what I mean? At my core, I am a die-hard Call of Duty fan. But man, it just is not what it used to be. The replay value is not the same. I remember back in the day, I'm talking like 2012 through to like maybe 2014. Team montages would come out all of the time, right? Big Call of Duty montages, people that put in a lot of time to get clips. And more often than not, they would be multi-COD. And what that would mean is they would go back and they would play the old CODs, put in hours and hours and hours, making sure that they were hitting the best clips on all of these games. And that was just the norm, right? People quite enjoyed to party up with their boys and hop on, hey, you know, I know Call of Duty Ghosts or Black Ops 2 is the current COD right now, but do you want to go back and play World at War? COD 4, MW2, you know what I mean? That was completely normal, and that's because those games are just such a high quality. You can go back and play them, no problem. There's something about those games that's just so addictive, right? You just love to play them. Whereas nowadays, for whatever reason, maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe they've just given us too much COD over the years, but the games don't feel the same. They don't draw you in like they used to, and that kills me to say. The gameplay you're watching right now is some Cold War gameplay on Hijacked, and I think I dropped like 50 something kills, but it was during this game that I thought, man, this is the first time I've actually had any fun on a Call of Duty in years. I believe Cold War was the last COD I've bought. I recently got the new MW3, the most recent COD, and so more than likely I'll be playing a lot more of that. That's the first COD since Cold War that I thought, man, this actually looks a little fun. So how many CODs has that been from Cold War to the most recent one? There's been a good few, right? I never touched Vanguard, I didn't touch MW2, I didn't touch, I believe there was another one, maybe even two other CODs that I just didn't put my hands on. Honestly, I feel like since Ghosts, it's been a steady decline. And that's such a shame, right? I don't know what it is. Jesus, that was embarrassing. I'm pretty sure I was on a kill streak there. That sucks. I don't know what it is about these games that just doesn't make you want to go back and play them. I think maybe it's the maps, you know. How creative can you be at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so many layouts and so many routes you can make on a map. You know, maybe that's why guys get bored of the COD nowadays. I think maybe it's, I don't know, I look at like, I think of Vanguard for example, like a lot of these like color palettes that they use in COD. It's either, there's no in between, right? It's either dark and dingy and you just don't want to be playing it, or it's the opposite where they go, oh, let's make everything bright and as colorful as possible and really cater this towards children. And I don't know where that mindset came from, because when I think of what the best CODs were, I think of like from MW2 all the way through to Black Ops 2, and I think, you know, during that time, let's be honest, it was just hopping in a party with your boys, 6v6 all night. The maps were great, they were basic and simple, the guns were basic, and I actually think it was Black Ops 2 that maybe turned the eyes of Activision and Treyarch around, because that's when they started doing like DLC camos and guns, and they started to realise, oh shit, like, we can make a lot of money from this stuff. And maybe like Advanced Warfare is where it really started to get like out of hand in terms of like the skins and stuff, if I remember rightly. But I guess the reason why I'm making this video is, what can they do to draw us back in as a fan base, right? And I know I say us, like everyone is just completely done with Call of Duty. That's obviously not the case. They're still so successful. But I'm talking about, what can they do to bring back that feeling of not nostalgia, but the feeling that we had when we first picked up Black Ops 2 in 2012, you know what I mean? Or 2013, whichever it was. Because I haven't had that feeling in a Call of Duty in a long time. What I'd like to see, and I know this will never happen at this point, but what I would like to see is for them to calm the fuck down, basically. Like, let's just dial the customization down a little bit. Let's make it a little more simple in terms of classes, you know. Seems like all of the attachments and things have just gotten way out of hand. Let's keep the perks system nice and simple. Kill streaks, I mean, I'm actually of the school of like World at War, right, where no kill streak, you get a 3, you get a 5, and you get a 7. You know what I mean? or whatever it was back then. And I much prefer that, because I think it seems like nowadays you can't take more than 5 steps without either being shot at or like killed by a kill streak. And I know this is like an arcade shooter, but that's such a huge problem for me, especially now with like the movement speed in these CODs, right? Like you can run from one side of the map to the other in a blink of an eye. It's almost like they don't take that into consideration when they make these games. Like when they build the maps, it's like they don't actually think, oh wait a minute, like we're going to be getting from A to B in 30 seconds. So they need to go back to their origins in terms of like map building and map design. Like I much prefer these maps where it's 3 routes. We have like a visual, like a nice, like a pretty map, you know what I mean? Something that I like to look at, but it doesn't have to be fucking rainbows and fireworks and all this other bullshit, you know what I mean? Keep it simple. This Hijacked is like such a great map, right? Like a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like it's vivid, it's vibrant, but it's not over the top, but yet it's still a map you want to play all the time. And most importantly, in my opinion, is they need to stop catering towards the bad players. You know what I mean? It seems like everything is, and I'm sure they have their reasoning for that. I'm sure they have like stats that show them that, you know, new players don't stick around as long when they're getting beat on by players who have been, you know, more experienced players. But even if that is the case, I still think that overall the players who do play consistently will stick around for longer if you stop catering towards the bad players, because especially in terms of like skill-based matchmaking as well, like I don't want to be in a lobby all the time with people at my skill level. You know, getting a 50+ kill game like this one here is such a rarity to me nowadays, because everyone is just, the worst thing is actually like you get on for your first game of the day, you know, you're not feeling too good, your fingers are a little cold, you know, you're not warmed up, you don't know, you're not in the zone yet, and you just have 0 chance because straight away you're in a lobby with killers back to back to back. And it does, as an experienced like veteran player, that does take a lot of the fun away from me. Maybe there's, it seems like if they want skill-based matchmaking, perhaps that they should just keep that in the competitive playlists, and public matches should just be, you know, like the Wild West, like they used to be back in the day. So perhaps that's more of an OG mindset. Perhaps a lot of people wouldn't agree with that nowadays, but people are just born and raised in skill-based matchmaking. It's strange. They missed out on such beautiful lobbies back in the day. They'd have had an absolute hell of a time, and perhaps the people who prefer skill-based matchmaking would have had their opinions changed if they were playing the older CODs back in their heyday. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the video, guys. I know it's like an old school commentary. I'm hoping that there'll be some people out there that enjoy these. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content just like this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.